Broadcasting from our station, spinning 3,900 feet above the watery sphere.
I can see for miles and miles. I can see for miles and miles. I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
This is Monitor Duty.
Oh my goodness.
There we are.
There we are.
Oh, it would help
Ladies
if I
and
got
gentlemen,
this.
Welcome to Wednesday. This is Reese signing on from our satellite location, satellite studio. Ironically enough, I am today joined by Hutch alone.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, things just fell on my desk as I was trying to get the camera centered with the nice background there. So, okay, now I'm here. Now,
Yeah. So
There we go.
I do have to show off. I'm wearing my Hero Academia hat, but I want to point out something right here. If you'll notice,
what is that?
this
That's The light is kind of
the light's kind of reflecting. To see if I can't.
yeah.
Bring it
Okay.
on here.
Okay. I see it. Is that the spirit?
That is the spirit. I
Okay.
found this. I'm in Omaha, somewhere in Middle America, and in a vintage clothing shop, I found a spirit pin in the wild, so I had to buy it.
Cool. I'm sorry. My dog decided, since he hears me talking, he always gets a cookie when he hears me talking, because I always, at the start of my show, give him a cookie. It was initially to keep him from barking, and now when they hear me talking, they're like, he's talking on the computer, we get cookies. So it's had the wrong effect. So I'm sorry, I had to get rid of him.
No, that's fine.
So this is kind of an unusual week because we are talking about movies,
yes,
not comic books directly, although we are talking about comic book movies. And I could talk comic book movies. We could have an entire separate show about comic book movies and talk every week, because honestly, I like talking that subject. But I thought I'd start by telling people, since nobody goes to the movies much anymore, it's really hard to lure people into the movies. And some of the superhero movies we're going to talk about are ones that could not lure people into the movies. It was kind of hitting that post-COVID era where people had been busted out of the idea of going to the movies, and it's trying to lure them back and, not winning. So one movie that is The Odyssey is out right now. And I wanted to kind of give you guys a brief recap of it because, well, you guys, it's you and our viewers.
right,
So,
of course,
yeah.
And we know that we do know that Twitless has things to say about the Odyssey. So of course we'll probably dive into some of that stuff
Sure.
at some later time.
Okay.
But,
And I'm not going to talk very long about it.
right, of course.
We just saw it last night, and I am a huge fan of The Odyssey. I read it. It was actually assigned to me before my freshman year of college. Everybody had to read The Odyssey before college started, because the common class that we all had at Luther College would be talking about The Odyssey. So even though I knew the basics of the story, I read the whole thing. I don't remember some of the things that are in the movie, and some of the stuff has got to be just invention, modern invention of things that wouldn't be in the story. But
yes,
yeah. So
the law of Zeus.
Yeah, and there's stuff, of course, that is anachronism. Supposedly, the entire ship is a Viking ship, not a Greek ship. The thing that I always found interesting is he's trying to get back home, and he's running into all these monsters because that's like the only way to get home. And it's like, this is the ocean. You didn't run into these going to Troy. Why are you running into all this weird stuff on the way back from Troy? But I talked to somebody online once, and they said, well, you have to understand, back then they did not have seafaring ships. They had, I think he called them littoral ships or something like that. It means that you stick close to the shore and follow the path of the shore. You don't go, off into the ocean with this kind of ship. And so they're kind of, that's why he ends up going through Scylla and Charybdis and past the, it's like you have to go this way if you're going to get home. So that is the basic story. Is he runs into sirens, he runs into Scylla and Charybdis. I watched the 1997, 1998 miniseries on TV with Armand Assante as Odysseus. I loved it. I think it was a really good adaptation of it. The weirdest thing, though, is the way they did Scylla and Charybdis. Because instead of it being like a straight, and to his credit, Christopher Nolan gets this exactly right about how it is that there's a big whirlpool and you have to not go into the whirlpool because you won't be able to get past that. You can't go along the edge. You will get sucked in. So you have to take the straight, and that will kill 6 of your guys. And there is no avoiding that. So that is the meaning of the idea of Scylla, caught between Scylla and Charybdis, as the Police song goes, So so I like the way they did it in this movie for the most part. But in the old one, in the miniseries, they had it being a cave. Like the water just goes into a cave and they have to go through the cave. And on the way, Scylla attacks the people on the ship. And then it reaches a waterfall that dumps them into Charybdis. And I'm like, in what way was that a way to get home? This was impassable. They did not do this right at all. So, aside from that, it was
the way to get past is to just get trapped there forever.
Yeah. So, the way Christopher Nolan does this, I got to give him credit for some of this stuff, because the way he did the Cyclops is frightening. He makes it such a. I always pictured a Cyclops as like a big, lumbering, in terms of a giant, it's maybe like 4 or 5 times a human size and huge, huge muscles and big caveman type guy. No, this is a standing up tall human who extends up way up high. And he just, it's tall and skinny and naked and it's just strange. It breaks your mind trying to look at this thing because it's so bizarre. And so, I lost Reese, but that's okay. I'll just keep going. So there's some of these things that he did. The way he does Scylla, though, it's like a mess of elbows. It's like, it's not a bunch of lizard heads or a dog heads on, like it doesn't look like a dragon in any way. A 6-headed dragon is kind of how it's envisioned most of the time. This looks like a weird assemblage of like elbows, like a bunch of elbows wrestling through the sky, and then they grab somebody and then they retreat off to the wall. It's a weird way to present it. I was looking forward to it all this time, and I was disappointed in how he did it. But the problem with this movie, and a lot of people talk about the casting. We have to remember that Christopher Nolan is playing in Hollywood, and he wants Oscars for this. And you are not eligible for the Oscars unless you meet a certain racial bean counting that they did after the whole Oscars so white controversy, where it's like you have to have a certain percentage of people, and if you can't have them online, then like half the production crew has to be non-white, and it's terribly racist, but that is what he's working under. If he wants to have this movie considered, some of this stuff has to be done. I don't mind that, every now and then a sailor looks kind of non-Greek, more likely they're black or Hispanic. I don't care. That's a good way to get them in, because they still look good. They have dark hair. They can pass for it, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy was really pushing it. She's a good actress. I thought she's incredibly cute in Black Panther. I'm not opposed to her as a person. Obviously, it's more like the Black Snape controversy. It's not a matter of the actor or actress. It's a matter of you chose to do this and to press people's buttons, and you knew this was going to be controversial. And it is weird that he decides to make Helen of Troy somebody who has a twin sister. If you've got an identical twin, then the whole Trojan War is kind of weird. It's like the face that launches 1,000 ships, but there's also a copy.
That's 2 black rolls for the price of 1.
It does count as 2. That's true. I wonder if he could get away with that. As
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
One of my things is that, and I haven't seen the film. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go on that.
Sure.
But you were talking about the racial quoting, and that's definitely a factor. But
Mhm.
wasn't Agamemnon supposed to be black in the original?
I don't know,
'Cause
but you
I
can't
looked it
really
up.
tell because he's always in a helmet. You barely
Right.
see Agamemnon in
Mm.
this movie.
Anyway.
And your Reese shall return. You can take that
Oh,
off.
that's right. I have returned.
Yeah, there you go. But I like that. That's a good. That's a good little.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
call them? Yeah, the ticker across the bottom. So anyway, I didn't mind. She's a good actress. She does well in her scenes. Obviously,
Mhm.
she's really good. Um, Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, is this character named Sinan, who is supposed to be a boy, and Elliot Page is like 40 and looks it. That is not a kid who was like, I don't know what he's supposed to be at the start, but he's like a little boy who was sold to go in somebody else's place to fight the war.
Right.
And so he's like an 8-year-old, so he'd be 18, or maybe he's 12, he'd be 22 at the end of the war. And you're casting somebody 40 to play this. And puny. I get it that the kid's supposed to be kind of puny, but he's had 10 years of war. I think he'd have muscles by
Puffing up a
then.
little.
Yeah. It's just a weird casting choice. It really doesn't work too well. And then there's John Leguizamo, he does a good job. He is cast as the blind servant, and he just, it's one of the meatiest roles in the show, and he does a good job with it. I like him as an actor. I know that he does a lot of political button pushing in racial casting and stuff like that, but he does a great job in this. And so big problem here though is that he mumbles. He's one of the great mumblers of the modern cinema. So
well, and there's roles where that actually works really well for him, like in The Pest.
Sure.
I mean,
I didn't mind him being one of the Super Mario Brothers. The fact that he's Hispanic and his brother is white, I don't care. He was a great. I don't even notice that. I didn't even notice he was
talking about racial casting. You
Yeah,
get a Puerto Rican and an Englishman to play a couple of Italians.
yeah. And that's what's weird, though. I didn't mind him being cast at that. I didn't know his heritage at the time. He passed just fine as an Italian. And when they did the modern Mario Brothers movie, he would not watch it because they didn't cast an Hispanic as Luigi. And I'm like, why? That wasn't a racial role. It's a weird thing. What's more is he's in the Ice Age series. He does the character of Sid the Sloth. There's a character named Diego. He's played by an Irishman. So it's like he had no problem with that. Aside from all that, sort of stuff, I love his acting, and he does a good job in this. He's one of the only developed characters in this movie. There's a lot of.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
We're talking about the Odyssey. Sorry,
Hutch is decompressing from watching the Odyssey.
I'm talking about the Odyssey, and I haven't even gotten to the big part, though. I mean, this is all kind of picking here and there at this. The big problem is you have to watch this at home. I know he wants you to watch it in the IMAX. He wants you to watch it, on the big screen. You have to have control of the volume, and you have to be able to put on subtitles for this movie. It's the same problem he's had with Tenet. It's the same problem he's had with Interstellar. He has got this hang up about how much he loves the Atmos system sound, and he busts eardrums doing this movie. And it's just, honestly, it's like the Ocean's Roar. I think he went down to SpaceX and recorded a rocket taking off, and did not put the volume down at all. It's just the Ocean's Roar is overwhelming. Ships breaking, and you're watching this movie and it's just boom, boom, and then like John Leguizamo, boom. It's so loud. I felt my body vibrating watching this. It's just, it's harsh. It's almost to the point that I had to cover my ears, but I didn't. But my wife has eardrum. She always takes earplugs to any movie, and she really needed it in this one. But then it's not like you can, here's the 20 minutes of noise and then here's dialogue. No, it's back and forth all the time. Lots of commotion and then mumbling. And then there's a scene where he talks to Agamemnon, who's dead. And so he's like talking to the reawakened soldiers. He says something, and all of a sudden everybody's chasing him. I don't know what he said. It was something that suddenly got everybody chasing him. I would love to know what that line of dialogue was, but you cannot make it out. And the whole movie for 3 hours is like this, just overwhelming loudness and dialogue you can't make out. So at the end, I watched this once. I never want to see it again. So that's my summary of the Odyssey. So I haven't had a chance to tell anybody. So you benefited from it. Hope you enjoyed it.
So yeah, it's interesting. The thing about this, the audio mixing, it's not just a Nolan thing.
Yeah,
I have noticed this for the last 20 years, and I don't know what the demarcation was. I don't know if it was me having children, right? Because that's about 20 years ago. It's
years.
They're adults. I don't know if it was like, now that dad watches everything on the subtitles so it doesn't wake the babies up. That changed something in my psyche. If it was my growing nerve deafness, which is definitely happening to me. I don't know what it is, but it's been a bother for me for a while. But I've heard enough people that have enjoyed the movie. I'm not. I don't know. It takes a lot to get into a theater these days.
Yeah.
But I saw Minecraft in the theater. Boy, that was a movie. Anyway.
Oddly enough, I just saw the trailer for Dugout Dads, and it's like the first comedy I've seen that looks to be so funny it could make me go to a theater. It's being released to YouTube. It's Patrick Renna. Basically, this is the entire cast of Sandlot making a baseball movie now as their 40, 50-year-old dads.
Oh, wow.
And Patrick Renna is like the main character, the you're killing me Smalls kid.
Right.
Yeah. And it is funny. It's not just nostalgia. If you had no idea that this is the Sandlot, you'd still think this is a funny trailer. And it's it's been a long time since I've seen something. I want to go see it, and it's just being streamed on YouTube.
Well, maybe if it gets enough attraction, they'll be able to put it in the theaters. That's
maybe.
Demon Hunters is it got so huge on Netflix that they released it into the theaters. So,
yeah. Like I say, a comedy. Most comedies. It's been a long time since I've seen a comedy that really looked good, and this one does. And I hate watching a comedy at home because it's just that's my wife and me. And when I watched The Naked Gun in college to a full college crowd, it's like every laugh just gets a boom throughout the theater, of people laughing at it. It helps. It makes it better.
That's the exact reason why I don't like watching comedies in theaters. Because I don't like I don't like the almost like the peer pressure of laughing or whatever, for lack of a better term. I pretty much want all of my laughs to genuinely just come from me, and I don't want like the sound of laughter in the audience around me like making something appear funnier than it might actually be. I don't know. That's probably the cynic in me, but I really like comedies, and I really like having like a first solo watch of a comedy before I watch it with other people.
That's the most metal thing that you've said in weeks. Of course, we haven't been here, so. But by the way, thank you. It's good to have you. So let's get on to the main topic of the conversation.
Yeah.
Before we go, metal. Our purpose today is to discuss what worked and what didn't work in the SHAZAM trilogy. Have you seen?
It was a trilogy.
Yeah, it was SHAZAM, and then Black Adam, and then SHAZAM, something of the gods. Wrath of the Gods, is it? I even had it pulled up, and I don't remember the title of it.
No, okay. I guess in my head, I wasn't considering Black Adam in it, even though like I know he's a SHAZAM villain. I thought there was like a third SHAZAM movie I never saw. And I'm like, what? When was this a trilogy?
And the thing is my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but my
Mhm.
understanding was that Dwayne Johnson was one of the producers, and that like part of his like pitch was to have a fourth movie that is like Black Adam meets Shazam, where Black Adam is like this conflict of worldviews. I don't know how it would have supposed to have worked because I like Zach Levy.
Mhm.
I like Zach Levy's Shazam more or less, but I can't see how they could have bridged the gap with what they did with Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam.
It's
Well,
not
especially
really
'cause,
the
like,
same universe. It doesn't mesh well.
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
also didn't want to be an outright villain, I think was the problem. So it would make it very complicated. Unless you actually came up with like a third party to be the villain when they met that they had to like team up against eventually. But
well, and they could
Yeah.
have. I mean, there are ways they could have done that, but
Yeah. The end of see the problem is you're talking about a Shazam meets Black Adam movie. They teased the Mr. Mind, the Monster Society, or the Mr. Mind in the 7 realms or 9 realms or whatever it is. That's something they teased at the end of the first one. They're teasing it at the end of the second one, and the second one's like, why did you make the second one? You don't make any progress. You don't have Black Adam in it. You don't have Mr. Mind. You don't have Savannah. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah,
So
this
well, I mean,
let's
didn't
go-
they have to like rewrite the entire script at the beginning of production though? Like, I don't remember what they were gonna do, but they might have initially planned on making progress, and then, production hell happened.
yeah, it could very well be that Dwayne the Rock Johnson's desires overrode what they were going to do, but in that case you move Mr. Mind up or something. But I don't know. It's like you're setting up a third movie and you're not really. I think they had to know that wasn't going to happen, even as they're putting in the teaser at the end of the second one, which is coming out, and they've already announced the DCEU is not going to continue. So this movie and the last Shazam movie, Fury of the Gods, and the Aquaman movie, which was a wonderful movie that did not deserve getting dumped as the last movie of the DCEU, and by it goes. So it's like those movies were cursed by the fact that we already knew that this was not going to progress anymore. So why are they teasing a third movie at the end of the second movie? That's just
I
bizarre.
don't know. They need the B-roll footage, I guess. Who knows?
Maybe.
But so let's go ahead and briefly let's talk about that. First of all, the original Shazam
Yep.
with Zach Levi, right?
Yep.
Which I never know if he pronounces it Levi or Levy. I've never heard him say it. But
I was hoping that you were saying it correctly. I was like, oh, is that how you say it? Okay.
well, I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't either.
I've heard other people say it both ways, right?
We'll just say Zach.
It's probably Levi because that's not actually his middle. It's not actually his last name.
Uh-huh.
His last name's Pugh.
Oh, I can see why you change it. Yeah.
Pew.
Well,
P-U-H.
Gemini says that he pronounces it Levi like revive or sky.
Right. And that
Levi.
makes sense because Levi is what you say is a first name or a middle name. So yeah, his last name's Pugh. It's Welsh for son of Hugh.
Okay.
That's what that comes from. Is after Hugh.
Yeah. Now we've talked about the Shazam when we did the bone book, the as I call it. We did Jeff Smith. Yeah, we talked about him in his take on it, where Captain Marvel is a separate entity, and whether you do that or not, or whether it's ever since. And he did that, I want to say, before DC did their relaunch or revamp.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
So, yeah, and the problem is, first of all, ever since DC took over Captain Marvel, it was okay in the 70s. They had him in his own world, and they kind of continued the adventures from the 50s.
Yep.
And that was okay. Then they brought him into the post-crisis where now he has to fit in with the tone of everything else. And he's got such a bizarre talking animal universe, that it doesn't quite really work alongside everything else, and so they've had trouble adapting him as a serious character. They keep giving him lightning powers or have him using the lightning as a weapon. I never saw it as being actual lightning. It's like he's calling it in a house, sometimes, and it doesn't destroy the building around him,
Right.
at least not in the old days. So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
And that's definitely a factor. There's a lot of the more silliness, but I think if you look at like Otto Binder, who was one of the big movers and shakers of Shazam in the later days, up until Fox stopped publishing, he brought that same silliness into Supergirl when he came over to DC after Fox had folded.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that it necessarily has to be out of place with it. I think it's a matter of tone, right?
Yeah.
And, like, for example, I really
Oh, I was going to ask Colin this, since we finally have someone in the audience, if it was just me, but he's saying it's very hard to hear Matt.
Oh, okay.
And it's very hard for me to hear you two.
Okay. Is that any better?
Much.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. We hear a lot of background noise when you're talking, but then it cuts out right away as soon as you stop talking. So I guess you have a good mic cutting in and out thing.
Yeah, it works out pretty well. It may be the difference in the room and my mic settings we're off. So anyway, as I was saying, I don't know if you Hutch read, and I don't know, I imagine you probably have not, Metal, but during James Robinson's Starman series, it crossed over with Jerry Ordway's Power of Shazam series in a series called Stars and Thunder. It was a 4-parter.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they did a really good job of blending the sillier Power of Shazam book with the very serious Starman.
Right.
I think they did a really good job with that. And so I think it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's one of these things where most people that write, not necessarily most, very, very many people, maybe it is most, who have been writing Captain Marvel since '86 don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about the Roy Thomas trying to do a very serious take on it. It was too dark, too much, too grim. And then Ordway found the perfect tone. I mean, he was really the right guy for that book. And it worked very well, I think. So but I'm not sure anybody else could follow that, and when Jeff Johns trying to do it, it's just he keeps the first movie is very much spinning out of the modern Jeff Johns revamp of the character, where he's wearing his cape as a hood. He's well, can I address one of the big issues? Yes, all of these movies came out, unfortunately, they came out during the time when DC gave up calling him Captain Marvel. And they just went back to calling him Captain Marvel. But in between those two, that's when they came out with these movies. And they do not have a good thing to call him. And they just say, well, everybody calls him Shazam, so we'll just call him Shazam. It does not work. You have to call him Captain Lightning or Captain Thunder or Captain something, if you can't do Captain Marvel.
And then what do you call Mary Marvel if you don't call him Captain Marvel?
Right.
Like, there's so many problems there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the Shazam Jr., well, then nobody can say their name, and it stops being a quirk of Captain Marvel, because, for reference, for people who might not know, right? Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel both use the same magic word, right, to transform. Captain Marvel Jr. says Captain Marvel, and he was the only one who couldn't use his name.
Right.
I mean, you say his name.
He can't say his own name because he'd be calling down the lightning. Yeah.
And so he doesn't introduce himself. People refer to him as Captain Marvel Jr. because they recognize Captain Marvel, and then there's this 13-year-old kid who's palling around with them. So everybody just calls him that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and I think the modern thinking is that the magic is smart enough to know when you want to call it. Which, I'm sorry, a magic word isn't like that. You use the magic word does what it does, and that's why you can't call himself Shazam, which is what they said at the end of the second movie. Is you call yourself Shazam, and it's like, doesn't work, and they did have fun with that in the first movie where he doesn't know what he calls himself. By the second movie, which takes place years later, I mean, Billy has gone from being 13 to being graduated out of the system of being in the foster system. Yeah, which is weird because Mary's older than him and she's still home. But what's that?
There was plenty of time to come up with a name by then.
Exactly. 5 years later, he doesn't know what to call himself, and that doesn't make any sense. He'd have come up with a name, but yeah, they don't do the best part of the whole thing though, of him not knowing what to call himself is in the second movie. He hits the street. He's being beaten by some monster. He hits the street, and a person on the street says, "Good going, Captain Marvel," or "You can do it, Captain Marvel," something like that. He's the first one to call him Captain Marvel. The person saying it is Billy Batson from the 1970s show, and he's wearing the red shirt. Yeah. And he turns around and says, "That's not my name," and takes off. And yeah, that's the only really good part of the second movie. I love that moment.
Well, I think there's a couple of good parts of the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm not totally trashing it. I'm sorry.
I don't want to get to that point yet.
Yeah, good.
So I'd be fine with totally trashing
it, which is fair. Because I think that's a valid opinion, which is not mine. But so the first movie, it basically tells the first four-parter that Jeff Johns wrote in reintroducing Captain Marvel, Shazam into the New 52.
Right.
So you've got this older teen who's not pure of heart, who's sarcastic, who is angry and cruel, and Shazam picks him to be his champion, and not because he's a worthy champion, but because he's just tired of looking.
Yeah. And I think Billy Batson says something about, you're trying to look for somebody who's perfect and nobody's perfect. And I'm like,
right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't like that portrayal of him at all.
And the other thing is that what they were trying to do, the Dio as editor and Johns as writer, were trying to make Captain Marvel or Shazam the magic Superman.
Right.
So the Superman of magic, and then you had the New 52 Superman as the Superman of sci-fi.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to split it that way. So they took Dr. Savannah, who's this wonderful mad scientist, and had to turn him into this very angry person obsessed with gaining magic power.
Yeah.
Gaining power generally and gaining magic power. So all of the lovable, hilarious, and genuinely evil that Savannah represented back in the classic stories was just watered down because they were trying to confine him into this magic box.
And Dr. Savannah is one of the most trademarked. I mean, what would you say? It's like everybody who knows Shazam comics knows what Dr. Savannah looks like. It's one of the most widely. You could change who knows what Ibok or Sabak or whatever any of these other guys are. You could do whatever you want with them. He wears a white coat and he's a scrawny bald guy with big thick glasses, and he calls him a big red cheese. It's like, if that's who he is. If you don't do that, it's like, why are you calling this character Savannah? You could have called him anything else.
And I agree about that part. But the one thing I like to say is I do think that Strong gave a strong performance.
Of course he does. He's a great actor. He's a
great actor.
Yeah.
I just wish they'd given him better things to say.
Yeah.
Right. That's my part. I think he's got the flexibility where he could have carried that mastermind kind of energy and not just this cloying, jealous energy that he had in there. And so that's part of my complaint with the first one. Is I think the other thing is that with the trailers leading up to it, I was very suspicious because I really felt like what none of the trailers showed was the wisdom of Solomon.
Right.
And I felt this he's going to have some wisdom of Solomon or the movie's not going to carry. And at the last fight scene, you do have Billy being crafty, kind of pulling on that a little bit. I really liked it, right? that leads into the second movie. Just a little tease on that.
Mhm.
Uh, is that he retrogrades. There is no more wisdom,
Right.
and Billy is like a dunce the whole movie in the
Yeah.
second movie. So that was a frustrating part to me about it. But
Zach is still playing a 13-year-old, and Billy is an 18-year-old.
mhm.
He shouldn't be it's the Big syndrome. When Tom Hanks made Big, he was playing a child until he actually met the 11-year-old kid who was being him, and he's like, oh, they don't act like this at all. I have to imitate what he's like. And Zach is kind of doing his own thing, separate from what Billy is really like as a person. Even
Even in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it just feels like he's playing like an 8-year-old compared to the actual Billy that we see when he's a kid.
Who's so savvy.
And that's
and
one of the
street
things
smart.
too, is I think they did a really good job in the first movie with softening and purifying the role of the position of John's Billy. Right?
Mhm.
John's Billy had no sincerity. He was just angry and alone. And the way Johns was writing it was he was trying to put him in his family so he could have a place to belong.
Yeah.
Right? But he was such an angry guy that, like, in reading the book, I didn't care if he belonged. Right?
Mhm.
Like, screw that guy. So one of the things they did with the screenplay with the boy who played Billy was they were able to soften his story and make him sympathetic. And so when Billy realizes that his foster family wants him,
Yeah.
and that he comes to understand and realize that maybe his mom didn't want him.
Right.
Of course, I hate that storyline.
Mhm.
That's such a drastic change from the classic story. So I dislike that part of it. But within itself, for what it is, the film does a good job of bridging that gap. But and so like I can forgive Zach's like effervescent excitability because here he's a kid with superpowers. And
Right.
so while he's, the captain, he doesn't have to worry about, being homeless or running away. And it's a distraction. So I can see him being more of a silly kid while he's also getting handled on these powers and everything. I really enjoyed seeing Zach interact with the kid that played Freddy and the kid that played Billy interacting with the kid that played Freddy. Like,
Right.
I was allowed, even though nobody's going to say that the first Shazam movie is, the best superhero movie ever. I had lots of forgiveness for it because a lot of because it wasn't supposed to be like Justice League where it was supposed to be this huge superhero epic.
Right.
It's just a silly fun.
Well, that's why I liked it.
Movie.
Yeah.
My first fun superhero movie in a while.
Yeah,
Right.
and so some of the unevenness and some of the stuff like that is like I was like, I'm not going to get worked up about it. I'm just going to sit there and enjoy it, in the
Yeah.
same way like watching, you don't go watching Chuck Dixon's A Working Man, right?
Yeah.
Expecting it to be Scarface,
Right.
it's just a Jason Statham action movie. And
Yeah.
it's great for that, right?
Yeah, this
So-
movie has its own goals. It's like even with the 7 deadly sins now on Earth, it's not threatening all of Earth. There is no sky beam threatening to destroy the thing. It's 7 monsters running around Philadelphia, and they have to go get them all, and they have to stop the magic guy who released them. And it's
I
like,
will say, though,
yeah,
one issue I want to say, Philly, right? I
Mhm.
don't understand why Philly. Like, I understand they wanted to make it grounded. They want to put it in a real place.
Oh, you're saying
Fawcett
Philly?
City.
Philly is in Philadelphia,
Right? Yeah, I know.
not
That's what
Billy.
I'm saying, though.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing
Fawcett
Billy.
Comics
Yeah,
was originally based in Chicago.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
Mhm.
so if you want to make it a real city that's not New York, it ought to be Chicago.
Yeah. Actually, Chicago was where Roy Thomas did the one that he did. It was set in
Yep.
Chicago, yeah.
So,
Or Fawcett City. You
Or
just make it
Fawcett
Fawcett
City.
City, yeah,
yeah.
which is fine. Philadelphia,
so-
okay.
I hadn't, up until seeing the movies, ever read a DC Captain Marvel comic. I had read the old Fawcett ones. I went back and read those, and those were really fun. And I had seen the old TV show, but I had never read a DC interpretation of Captain Marvel at all. I felt like even though they did still pick a city that had docks and waterways and stuff, there was a big lack of like docks and water scenes and stuff when a lot of old Captain Marvel stories kind of took place along the water side.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of echo now when you talk metal. I don't know what changed. I'm hearing you twice.
It's probably because I'm loud and I'm coming through Matt's as well. That's probably what's
And it
happening.
usually
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
pick my speakers up. Here it is.
Oh, it could be. Yeah, if you're hearing it in speaker, maybe it's a feedback. Sorry, technical interruption. I didn't mean to interrupt your thing about the waters.
No, I'd finished my thought.
Oh, okay. I don't mind where it's set. I don't care about Philly, or if it's not Fawcett City, then it can do wherever you want, you know. But I love the moment at the end when he shares his power with all his fellow, his fellow kids in the family, and it's like it's a cool way to have the Lieutenant Marvels without having three other Billy Batsons, Fat Billy and Hillbilly and whatever it was. It's like this makes more sense that he's got lieutenants, except he's not calling himself captain or anything, so it doesn't make sense. But it's kind of cool because he originally had Lieutenant Marvels and Mary and Captain Marvel Jr., and so they kind of do the same thing with this group. But then in the second movie, it's like he won't even change into Captain Marvel. I'm going to call him Captain Marvel. He won't change into his hero unless they all do it. He says it's all or none. You have to do them all. They all have to do it all the time. And I'm like, why? It's just because they want to have the characters. But the second movie would be so much better if he was the only one again. Mary's gone on to do other things. Maybe his friend Freddie. But the others have moved on to be adopted somewhere or whatever. They could always have the possibility of that. But the second movie, that's one of the many reasons the second movie is a problem, is it's bogged down by having this be a 6-person group that's doing the whole thing.
And for the villains in the second movie, let me think about this here a second, because I did not go back and rewatch it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I saw it, and I have it, and I watched it, and it was okay. I do not remember the framing of the thing right now. This is so irritating.
Well, you remember there's a staff that was broken in the first movie, and
Yes.
it's in a museum. And they're talking about how it like ruined a bunch of trash compactors until they realized what it was, and they sent it to I don't know where the museum is, but I think it's near the Parthenon or something. So it's supposed to be, but although it looks like it's in America, so I don't know. But then these two soldiers walk in, and they keep getting addressed as men until they take their helmets off, and it's two women, and they proceed to take the thing, and then they turn everybody else into statues. So they immediately kill everybody else there. Yeah. And so the three are, let's see, Rachel Zegler, back before she was famous, Lucy Liu, and Helen Mirren are the three characters. And the fact that I had to look them up because I couldn't remember, even though I was just watching them. I can't remember who it was, because I was watching right up until we started.
And one of the things about that is really interesting is there is this, and I think very sincere pseudo romance that begins between Rachel Zegler's witch character and Billy Batson's actor, Adam Brody, I guess his name is.
Yeah.
And
I didn't hate her acting, by the way, in this movie.
I hate her acting. I liked the.
I thought she was
conflict.
fetching. Yeah.
I like the conflict of emotions. How she, because the idea is that these were sorceresses who had been defeated by the wizard Shazam sometime in the ancient past that had been locked away, and with the wizard Shazam's death in the first movie, the bondage that was holding these sorceresses up together was breaking, and so they're now wanting to get their revenge and to steal their power back from the Marvels. That's what it was. But the thing about that I found really irritating is like that's kind of an okay story conceptually.
Yeah.
But that's not a Captain Marvel story. Like, I don't know if this is adapted from a newer book or whatever, but like these aren't classic characters. And I'm like, what's going on, guys? What's up with this? I mean, you've got because there's the whole monster society that they could be playing with, and they're just like invent these new guys for it, and that seems really strange to me.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll be real, right? I think if they're not going to portray old characters properly, they should just make up new characters. I'm perfectly fine with that.
that's probably fair. But
Yeah.
it was, yeah, for what it was, I mean, like I kind of enjoyed the movie, but it didn't necessarily have a lot of connection to it, and like I felt like some of the um none of the characters, and like I know there's just one where they're sending a letter, and there's a whole bit where they've got an enchanted quill pen that writes whatever is dictated to it,
Yeah.
and we get off talking about to send the letter to the witch queens or whatever, and it's funny, but it also like takes away from any dramatic tension that had been built up in the movie, and it's like and these aren't supposed to, and every single one of these kids are supposed to have a portion of the wizard's power, including once again
wisdom.
that wisdom of Solomon, and nobody
Yeah.
seems to have a clue about it, right?
Yeah.
And so
And Mary actually calls that out in the second movie.
yes,
It says, wait, wisdom? And looks at him like, wisdom? It's like, yeah, kind of. She points out how obvious it is that he does not have wisdom. But it's like, okay, so you're lampshading it, but that is still a problem, which they don't address. The fact that he's supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon and he doesn't. Yeah. Because he doesn't. They should all have a little more maturity as the superheroes, but they don't.
What would make it work? I could tell you if they portrayed the wisdom of Solomon like a power that wasn't active all the time, and then they portrayed the power like a Jimmy Neutron style brain blast, right? So like when they needed it, then there'd be like this internal like flash of what they should be doing, and then you'd like a visual representation of the wisdom of Solomon.
It would be one way to do it. Yeah. Skittles saves the day with the dark unicorns. I wasn't even going to mention that. It's terrible. Yeah. She says, taste the rainbow. I think they were at the end where they're like, who cares about this movie? Go do it.
That was
it's a sure sign your movie is dying.
I had actually forgotten about that scene. So that was one of those things that it was like that. I was like, oh man, wait a second. That's right. I forgot about that part. Colin says the irony is that Solomon believes he didn't have true wisdom. And like you can get a huge theological debate about that.
Sure.
But in the context of Captain Marvel comics, the reason that Billy, as a 10-year-old, is not a moron is because he has the wisdom of Solomon. So when he's Captain Marvel, he's supposed to be wily, and not that he can't be caught flat-footed, but that he has the ability to think his way out of problems. And so you've got that whole thing. So it's supposed to be a get out of stupid free card, and it's never, and it wasn't used that way in the films. Well, I mean, it kind of was in the first movie. Like I said, the Billy realizing he has to lean on his adopted or his foster family to save the day is sort of that sort of thing. But it's, once again, that's not really addressed in the second movie. And I mean, part of that was they are playing on this emotional idea. Billy is so afraid of losing the family that he's gained that he's behaving irrationally toward them, and he's using their Captain Marveling as an excuse to keep the big gang together instead of letting everybody grow up. And so, like, that is a theme in the movie, but I don't think it's really handled well.
Yeah.
So,
so going back to the first movie,
yes.
The big problem I have with the wizard, and he's looking for somebody, he has been on a never-ending quest to find somebody viable. Here's another reason it needs to be its own universe. Hal Jordan, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne. Did the Wizard not run into any of these? You can come up with a list of dozens of names of great, people in the DCU who, as kids, he could have singled out and said, "Hey, you are now the, Captain Marvel." But it's like that doesn't make any sense if he's like, "I've never found a good candidate," but it's in the DCU.
Right.
In its own universe, you could get away with that.
Well, and even in the DC universe, you can reframe it like I'm looking for the right person.
Yeah.
Right. And and that's the thing that's supposed to be unique about Billy, right? Is that Billy is supposed to be such a uniquely like kind and dedicated person.
Yeah.
Right? He's supposed to have that perfect blend of gumption and humility and caring about other people, right? That sacrificially caring about other people.
When you make him a streetwise thief, that just doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, that hurts.
When you make it and in the original when he was the streetwise, newsy, that's different, right?
Yeah.
He's got the street smarts, but he's never, he's not gone over the dark side. He's just,
he doesn't need to be naive.
Yeah.
He does not. You don't need to be naive to be good.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of that playing it as naive that Captain Marvel, despite being a full-grown adult, since Jeff Johns was writing him in JSA, and he's like falling in love with Stargirl, and everybody's like, "Why is the 30-year-old guy in love with Stargirl? She's like 16," and and he's they didn't know what to do with him even then. They didn't know what to do with Captain Marvel. And
that actually has its origin in the Stargirl book that Johns wrote, where Billy meets Courtney as children,
right,
and so then I can see a place for that in that context, but I also think I agree that Johns does not really get. I mean, Johns is the company man. He also kind of does whatever the editors tell him.
Right.
Tries to find a way to make it work. But I also believe that he just doesn't get Captain Marvel.
Yeah. When he gets a character, he does a really good job. I thought Stargirl, the TV show, was the best superhero TV show. I mean, it consistently, was like, it had a story, and it didn't have all the waste of time that Flash had, where they just have, they somehow find 20 minutes to just yammer on, every episode is such a soap opera,
And that was
Stargirl was good. What's
that? Was Jeff Johns with his baby.
Yeah.
Right. Producing it, show running it, and the head writer was James Robinson.
Yep.
And they were cribbing notes from Roy Thomas.
Yeah.
Right. So, you got a powerhouse of people working on it, with this solitary vision, and I think I agree. I think that's.
I don't hate everything Jeff Johns does, so I don't want to come across that way.
No, I only dislike his Green Lantern.
I disagree with a lot of his Green Lantern too. Yeah,
I dislike some of his Flash.
It's like
some of it's great, some of it's not. But
I think I like more of his Flash than not. But for the most part, I could agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of the way he wrapped it up toward the end of it. I think he ran out of ideas. When he was first on the title, it was just dynamite. I think the further along he went, the more he ran out of ideas.
I think it was a terrible idea to bring Barry Allen back at all.
Boom.
I'm sorry. If you wanted to have a thing where Barry, because even Marv Wolfman said there's a way out, that you can have him get out of his race to die. Like he suddenly takes a little side adventure and lives for however long, and then he can come back and finish his run. It's like, okay, I can see that, but I don't want to do that. He died perfectly. Leave him dead. And I thought Wally was a better character for it, for having that.
And in defense of other people that I don't necessarily like, Mark Waid's Return to Barry Allen storyline, that 5 issues, is flawless.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is it was so good that once they moved to actually bring Barry back, it's only going to seem like a cheap stunt to people that read that story.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, Anyway,
Anyway,
sorry.
not here to talk about that, but we're going to get off on tangents.
That's a huge tangent. That's a huge tangent. So let's
but
go back.
it's fine. We're going to get off on tangents when we're talking about stuff like this. It's just, I don't think Jeff Johns was the right person to do Shazam, although the having him in a foster home is interesting. And by the way, did you know that the little girl in that movie, her last name is Dudley?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So her last name is Dudley. That's kind of cute, but I wish that there was I wish that they could work a Mr. Taki-Tani in somehow, but there's, I don't know. It's nice having that as the family, but it's too much in the sequel movie. It really is. He needs to have Captain Marvel be the star. I'm going to keep calling him Captain Marvel. I can't call him anything else.
It's his name.
You're among good company for that.
Yeah, call him by his name.
It's weird that 5 years later they're still calling it Superhero Freddy, Superhero Darla, because they have nothing else to call them. This is your problem, DC. If you haven't come up with a way to make this work, why are you making a movie? Of course, they tried to come up with it exactly when Marvel is making a Captain Marvel movie. So every time they're talking about a Captain Marvel movie, I'm getting mixed up because I'm thinking it's this one.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
So again, poor timing. If they had made this 10 years earlier, they probably could have called it Shazam and had him call himself Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And they could do that now. But yeah. And by the way, he has been portrayed, just so you know, the DC has done Captain Marvel in the JLU, where he was kind of a little innocent and he was willing to look at Lex Luthor as being an okay guy or give him a chance, and then he was in the Young Justice series and he did a really good job of there. They did a good job of balancing all the the things we talk about as a character. I thought they did a good job there. The cartoon series of Young Justice. Yeah.
Okay.
But so then, and that all precedes this. Like I say, those were called Captain Marvel when he appeared there. And then this comes out and they can't call him that. And it just, the whole Captain Sparklefingers thing, it's funny once, but he needs to come up with a name by the end of the movie. And that was a problem.
Yeah. And it's also frustrating too, because DC had the Captain Thunder appeared in a book back in the Silver Age, before DC before the purchase of Fawcett's characters was finalized.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain Thunder was an early rejected name of Captain Marvel. So had they actually just doubled down on that and gone with it, it would have still seemed less weird than just calling him Shazam, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of talked about everything we can talk about without going point by point with the plot, which I don't really want to do anyway.
Right.
With the two Shazam proper movies, the Black Adam film.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
60% of it.
Okay.
But that includes the beginning and the end.
I gotta tell a story.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
So in the Black Adam film, I bought it for $5. I wanted to see it. Hutch, I know you were talking about doing a series of going through the DC movies, and we talked about that. So I thought, okay, I better watch some of these turds that I've never seen if Hutch wants to do a show about it. And so I'm sitting there watching it with my youngest, and it's kind of boring. And so we're sitting there, and we started it kind of late, and we're both just kind of nodding a little bit. And there's the scene at the end, or there's the scene where Black Adam comes to realize that, he's been in his wanton violence, he's been killing people, and then he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And so he submits to the legal authorities, and they take him in prisoner. And this is happening, and we're just like,
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna call it a night. How much longer is left in this movie? And that's the 60% point of the movie.
Yeah.
There's 2/3 of the movie after that point. And we just looked at each other, and it's just like, my God, how is this movie still going on? How is there another hour of this movie left? We got to go to bed. So,
yeah.
both of us. So we crashed out. We both went to bed, and then like the next day or whatever, we finished watching the movie. But like that was that I was so sure that was the penultimate moment of the movie, was this repentance and the submission to the end of it. And so then I thought, okay, so maybe the plan was to have, Captain, Black Adam come back in the fourth Captain Marvel movie. Something comes up and it's just too tough for Billy, and he cries out to the wizard Shazam's ghost, and Shazam wakes up Black Adam and says, it's time to do your duty, and then you have the meeting of the two guys, right? I thought that's what we'd have, something like that maybe, but no, there was a whole other part of the movie.
Yeah.
So I had to tell that story before we even get into talking to the movie, because the movie is, man, it is, in terms of the origin of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a mess, right?
Yeah.
Not the origin of the making of the movie, but where the story comes from. It's partly from JSA Black Rain, and partly from classic Shazam stories, Captain Marvel stories, and partly just made up. So it's this weird hodgepodge of things where it's kind of an adaptation of the source material a little bit, but also not. And so it feels really, to me, long-term comic reader and fan of Captain Marvel, feels really disjointed. And I had a hard time like vibing with the whole thing. What was your starting impression of the Black Adam film there, Hutch?
Did Metal City a part of it? Okay, so you're asking me. Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'd have let Metal go first. But
Well, I mean, I saw the vast majority of it, but yeah.
you probably saw more than Reese did. Nodding off.
First time.
Yeah. I don't remember much of the story. I which is weird because I liked seeing Dr. Fate and Hawkman, and they call themselves the JSA, which is weird because it's like, how long have these guys been around? So they're the first superheroes in the DCEU. Like Superman just appeared for the first time, but these guys have been around for who knows how long, operating who knows how long. And let's see, who is in the JSA? It's their JSA. It was Dr. Fate, Hawkman, the Tornado Gal, and what's his name? Atom Smasher.
Atom Smasher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they actually had Al Pratt. He's talking to Al Pratt on the phone, who is voiced by Henry Winkler.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I thought that was cute. But is that what they're going for? Because the rest of the movie is not like that. It's like there's nothing about the heritage of these characters, how long they've been around, or all that, which is good, because if you're starting a DCU, why have them be 1940s characters?
Well, and they mention that Cyclone is the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado.
Right.
But so here's the
thing,
though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, we're talking about race swapping characters.
Yeah.
Right? And like taking the very ginger Jasmine or whatever. What's her
Yeah.
name?
I know what you mean. It's such a unique look. Her big red hair blowing around, and
are you talking about Ma Hunkel?
Yeah. Not Ma Hunkel, the daughter, the granddaughter.
Oh yeah. They made her very redhead when they brought Cyclone in.
Yeah. She's one more redhead that they have race swapped on the big chart.
They did have a black fellow playing Carter Hall.
Yeah, I did like that.
I cannot remember the actor's name. He was in Leverage.
Okay.
And when I first heard about it, I was a little irritated. But that guy gives a great performance.
Yeah.
And because Carter Hall is constantly reincarnating, there is a 0% chance that he's never been a black man.
Right.
So
I don't care which version of we don't even get a background on him, but right. I don't care. I mean, he's one of the character that
I'm just saying. I think as far as race swaps go,
if you're going to pick someone,
I easily forgive I easily forget or look over that one because the performance is great. It's not out of it doesn't seem to be out of character
Yeah.
in terms of the way it's being portrayed. It fits in with the lore of the character, right?
Right.
Um, and so like with Carter Hall, I think that actually works out really well. Um, Now my one beef with the way that Carter was written is that um, some writers tend to write Carter as just being this big angry guy who never it's his way or the highway, and he can't ever think, and or doesn't ever respond to an opposing viewpoint.
Yeah.
And I really dislike when, because usually people that write him that way, they write him that way so they can pair him up against Green Arrow,
Right.
and make it a
And
make
Green
it a
Arrow will have the right opinion.
and Green Arrow will have the right opinion.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're just looking for the straw man somewhere.
Yeah.
In this picture, I think they did a pretty good job of typically, generally, and for the most part, in most scenes, Carter is correct. It's just not necessarily a way that he doesn't always. He has the right idea, not always the right plan. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed seeing the interplay between Carter Hall and Kent Nelson. Because I thought that 80% of Pierce Brosnan as Kent Nelson was just so much fun.
Yeah.
I just wish that they had that they'd given him more to do in the story.
Yeah.
Because I just really enjoyed that. The other thing about it is this, like, so Kendok, like the origin country for Black Adam that Jeff Johns invented.
Yeah.
It is a nation in the Sinai Peninsula. So in the DC universe, post the coming of Johns,
Right.
the Sinai Peninsula is not part of Egypt. It is a separate nation that has sometimes been a client state to Egypt, but also sometimes has been independent. And in the time of Black Reign, it becomes fully independent because Black Adam becomes basically the de facto king of Kahndaq, right? And that's kind of interesting to think about. But one of the things that doesn't, and so the people in the set, for those comic book fans, you see Hawkman, who's a reincarnated pharaoh. You see Dr. Fate, who the spirit that hold Naboo that lives in the helmet was once a servant of the pharaoh,
Right.
of a different pharaoh. And you have Black Adam, who has this tie to this ancient Egyptian or near Egyptian society. And so you've got all these fun little pieces that are in place in this movie. And you know how much are explained? None.
Yeah.
None of those things are explained or touched on in the slightest. And it could have been a fun Indiana Jones romp through the DC universe, right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to go deep into the lore. They could just have it be like, why are these guys involved? Well, not just because they're the JSA, but because, they are the JSA's Egypt experts. And so there's something going on nearby Egypt. And so they're sending their Egypt squad out to go investigate all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't touch on that at all. And ancient Kahndaq just is vaguely Mesopotamian someplace.
Yeah.
And Intergang is there for some reason that they never touch on or define at all. They just like to use the title, and so it feels like somebody did like a Mad Lib.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Maxine's just there because her friends are already there.
Yeah, Maxine. That's her name, Maxine Hunkle.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's because they really needed to find a ginger to rob their character from, I think. And so it's one of those things where, like, a lot of the pieces I really enjoyed, but I couldn't together. And the other thing is that it was full of interminable fight scenes, right?
Yeah.
That there was so much stuff going on that there almost wasn't a movie there, which is why, like, we were watching these, which is why I thought the movie was over when it was half over, because there had been so much fight scene that I had gotten just confused with. I mean, just bombarded with it. Now, the other people might not notice in the film, there is the female like journalist slash rebel fighter and her little brother, who are the same as Isis and
Osiris. Yeah.
That they're the same names of the characters from Black Rain.
Okay.
That were both killed at the end of Black Rain, which was a real strange decision because
when was Black Rain published? I don't know that.
2006, 2007, something like that.
Okay, so it's after 52, because I read 52, and
it was like it may have been 2005. It was like in the middle of all of that.
Okay.
So like the World War III that was supposed to have happening at the same time.
World War III did happen at the end of 52. Yeah.
Right. So the in Black Rain, the JSA has broken up, and Atom Smasher has gone with Black Adam to liberate Kahndaq during World War III, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And then once he's liberated Kahndaq, he is basically crowned the king, and the local person, he falls in love with a local girl.
This is part of JSA, right?
JSA,
part of the JSA.
yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. I was thinking that was a separate series. I know what you're talking about because I've talked about it. That's the scene where the Atom goes into Atom Smasher's head,
yes,
and runs into Mr. Mind.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, yeah,
which of course that doesn't get put in this movie. Mr. Mind is busy.
Yeah,
repeating the scene with Savannah from the last movie.
Right.
Right. And so yeah, that's why Atom Smasher is in there, because he's part of the Black Rain story, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have Eclipso.
Yeah.
Like, of course, Eclipso only makes sense if you explain all the Eclipso.
Right.
Because that version of Eclipso was awesome, but also super deep lore stuff.
Yeah. Did you read 52? Which 52 came out after that. After he was declared the leader of Kahndaq. At the beginning of 52, he's looking for some superheroes, supervillains to join him. He gets Terra Man. It's like the only volunteer. And he announces a press release, and Terra Man is there riding on a robot. He's on a robot horse, because he's a cowboy sci-fi character. They've never gotten him right, but it's a good idea for a character, but they don't do him right at all. So since they've never really done well with this character, Black Adam grabs him and tears him in half on TV and announces that his rule is nobody is going to tell him what to do. He is his own country. He rules this country, etc. So the series follows him and how he falls in love with Isis, who I thought she debuted in the 52 series for the first time.
She may have.
Okay.
I don't
and
remember
then she has a younger brother named Osiris, and this is of course coming out. His name isn't Osiris. That's his superhero name.
Right. That's
her name is Isis too when she becomes, but her real name is something else.
Right. And so a little background too for those people who might not know this. Isis as a character was created for the Shazam Power Hour back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so DC didn't actually own. This is the funny thing. DC didn't own Isis. To do this story, I believe they had to buy it from like Filmation or whatever.
Okay.
And then they killed her.
Yeah. Well, I guess they killed her later. I don't know.
I believe she died at the end of Black Rain.
Did you hear what happened with Osiris in 52?
No.
Okay. Well, because he gives power to this woman who becomes Isis, and he gives power to her brother who becomes Osiris, and so they have like basically the Black Marvel family, Black Adam Marvel family, whatever you want to call it. So he's got his own Marvel family to kind of balance the Marvel family as we know it.
They're
and
just all Egyptian themed instead.
yeah, and then Osiris runs into a talking crocodile who is wearing a suit. So
Sobek?
he's got a talking, yeah, his name's Sobek, who is his sidekick, who is so he's got his own talking animal, except it's a crocodile instead of tiger. And so they are building up this whole Marvel family, and I forget the details of it, but Osiris is, I think he kills somebody, and he's feeling really bad about it, and he's, even though if he goes back to being his regular self, he'll be crippled again, because it's kind of the same as the Freddie Freeman thing, it's he is crippled too in real life, handicapped, whatever you want to call it, and so he won't be able to walk again if he gives up his power. But Sobek says, you should do something to, you can't be going around with all this power if you can't be trusted with it. And he says, I will give up the power then and just be myself. And he calls Black Adam's power, and it goes away. And Sobek eats him immediately, chomps him. Like, you turn the page. That's what happens. He is not a good character. He has been waiting for his chance to do this. He is one of the Crocodile Men, the bad guys from the old, SHAZAM comics. It's like and they tie it in with other stuff, but it's like, it's actually a really good scene. I did not see that coming.
But it plays it to his name perfectly, right? Because Sobek is the god of the Nile in ancient Egypt, and you had to basically constantly making like offerings to Sobek so that the Nile wouldn't eat you while you were crossing it. The people went missing in the Nile all the time. So he's a benevolent god and a malevolent god at the same time. So you can't ever turn your back on him.
It was one of the better moments of the series. But then they brought Osiris alive at the end of what's it called, Blackest Night, the big series, kind of at the end of DC. It's about the time where I stopped reading, but they brought him back for some reason. Yep. So it's like, you can't have a good way to kill off a character and not bring him back. I guess it's just not allowed in DCU anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's the whole thing. But anyway, so Adriana Tomaz was her name. I had to look it up.
Okay.
And so she shows up in the movie, and there's this weird...
They don't do any of this stuff in the movie.
Yeah, they don't go to any of that stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
All they do is they have this girl, and she's kind of connected to the rebels, but she's also a journalist of some sort. Mm-hmm. And they accidentally wake up Black Adam, who has been suspended for who knows how long, for 3,000 or 4,000 years. Yeah. And he was given the power of the wizard back in the day, and he used it to basically kill his way through Kahndaq back in the ancient past. And he ended up getting captured, and the whole business. The story is not worth getting into hugely in depth.
But it should be. It should be, because the story of how the wizard thought that there was somebody who could be entrusted with the power, he seemed good. And it's like, this guy has absolute power and he lets it go to his head. It's sort of the Sinestro problem.
Right.
He's given great power and he misuses it, and the wizard punishes him or whatever happens. That he,
okay, so I guess actually I do need to go into this here too. In the movie, in the Black Adam film, it's revealed that Dwayne Johnson was not the original choice for the champion of Shazam. That the champion was his son.
Oh,
he was the rebel leader. He's the one who defied the authority and was given the power of Shazam to defeat this evil warlord who was trying to build some sort of crown that would give him ultimate power.
I completely forgot this. This tells you a lot about the movie. I cannot remember any of this stuff.
So the thing is while this is going on, the kid, as the champion, is building a revolutionary army to fight against the warlord, the magic warlord guy, and they end up discovering that he has a family, and so they capture his father, who is Dwayne Johnson, who's a skinny Dwayne Johnson, and skinny Dwayne Johnson sells his son out, and he basically says, "Yeah, as long as you don't kill me, I will call my son to rescue me, and he will depower, and then you can get him." And so then the SS kills the champion, and then in his grief, the father uses the magic word and then take the Shazam and then takes the power from the wizard and becomes Black Adam and destroys the whole kingdom. And that's why there's no history for Kahndaq having an empire or having a major civilization, just being a byword to the Egyptians. That's there. But of course, they don't even get into the Egyptian angle with it. They just imply it in the thing.
This movie's such a mess. It's such a mess because obviously Dwayne Johnson imposed the fact that he's really seeing this guy as more of a dark hero than a villain. And I'm sorry, he's supposed to be a villain. He's supposed to be the opposite of Captain Marvel so that they can clash. It's if he's just he's the Captain Marvel who also kills people. That's all he is, but he's a good guy. What do you do with that?
And the magic crown is the crown of Sabak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which it ties into an idea from the classic Fawcett era comics, where Sabak was like empowered by 6 demons, as opposed to Shazam being empowered by 5 gods. So there is some tie into the mythos there. But I was trying to remember that. I had looked that part of it up. But yeah, it's the thing about it is it's got some of these Shazam elements in it and some of these fun JSA elements in it, but it's so tonally divergent from the other Captain Marvel films, but it is explicitly supposed to be a tie-in to those things. And I cannot imagine now in Black Adam, in the JSA stories that Johns wrote and Robinson wrote, that was a conflict within those stories, is that you do have, this Bronze Age warrior with the power of a god or a bunch of gods. How do you square that in the modern world? And that is an interesting thought experiment. I'm not going to say that it's not, but it's so over the top in that movie that I think that it's I don't think I can see a lot of ways of blending tone through the DC universe. I have a lot of forgiveness for a lot of those sort of framings on that, but I can't see how these movies that are supposed to be playing next to each other, right, can have that same kind of energy. It just seems really strange to me.
Well, one of the things people complained about with the first movie, with Shazam, is that you've got this very lighthearted character making lots of jokes and everything, but then you have this horrible scene where Savannah kills off his brother and his dad and all the people in the room. I'm hearing myself echoing back. I think you're too close to the speaker or something. I don't know. So I'm there. I don't hear it. Okay. So there's like this very brutal scene in the beginning there, or towards the beginning of the movie. And that's, a lot of people commented on that. I think the pitch meeting guy even points that out, that it's like, wait a minute, is this really appropriate for this movie? And then you have the darkness of of Black Adam, obviously, which is supposed to be about an anti-hero / villain. He is a villain, but they keep doing this anti-hero stuff in the modern DCU with him, where they don't have him in the same category because he runs his own country, etc. So he can make his own rules and he's not really punished and all that. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with Black Adam if you don't make him a villain. If you're wanting to set this up as, here's how, when I first heard about this, I was thinking, oh, this will be cool. They'll have a whole movie about how it's like the Billy Batson of the ancient times who, was given this power and he went bad. And then maybe at the end, he comes out in the modern era and goes to fight. Maybe that back end of that movie is his encounter with Captain Marvel. I'm going to call him that, but no, it's not. It's all set up And it's quite frankly, I find, although I don't really think the JSA belongs in this story, aside from the fact that Jeff Johns wrote a JSA story that was about this, and they're kind of adapting it a bit. It's like it's kind of super. It's like, where are these characters coming from? They just needed some protagonists, and they drag them in here, but don't really do anything good with them. But they are the only characters that I care about in this movie, and I find the rest an incredible bore.
You see, the problem is, and this is the problem with having The Rock as Black Adam, is the movie that you described possibly saying would basically just him playing the Scorpion King again, who started off as like this rebel leader who took over and then became a tyrant king over time. And it's like, do we really want to watch The Rock play the Scorpion King again, but with Superman powers?
I get what you're saying. Yeah. But then he shouldn't want to play Black Adam.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So have we talked? Oh, are you talking? You're muted, Reese.
I forgot that.
Okay.
I said we do want to give props to Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he clearly loves. I do think he genuinely loves these characters.
Yeah.
I just think he doesn't really understand the complete playthrough, full through on it. I mean, the man is a wrestler, not a writer. You know, so
I should mention, I was partial to the movie Steel that Shaq had made. He made it just because he really liked the character. Yeah, I liked that movie. For what it was kind of like more the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles era of superheroes. It's like they didn't have CGI, and they just, he couldn't fly, so he's got a bike. I get it. They can't quite do the, full CGI thing with metal lips, so he just has a mask that cuts off here. I get it. So yeah, I like that movie. Anyway, I'm done talking about Black Adam. It should have been a Shazam movie, or it should have been the prelude to the next movie, which is the battle of Black Adam against Shazam. Or the next movie should be Mr. Mind's, Monster Society of Evil, or whatever you want to call it. And it's not. It's the Three Witches movie, and it's okay. Joe Pesci is Black Adam. Oh, I don't know. I like Black Adam as a villain, but they don't use him as a villain anymore. He's not the guy who just turns into dust at the end of his fight with Captain Marvel because he says his magic word and he's 5,000 years old, so he turns to dust and blows away, or whatever you do with him. It's they don't want to do that because they like the character too much, and it's like, well, if you like the character, you're muted again.
I was gonna say, even if you don't want to play that one with the turn dust thing, which I get.
Yeah.
I mean, that was I mean, there's a reason it was undone, right?
Yeah.
But the other side of it too is like the movie for the Wrath of the Gods, right? Where like the witch queens have had their power taken.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing plot point by point except for the Rachel Zegler bit that would have excluded that being in Black Adam as the thing. Like Black Adam, he's coming back. He's accidentally woken up, or he's coming back from the farthest star. However you want to play it.
Yeah.
Because he's wanting to get the power back from the wizard, right? He's he's had this time taken from him. He doesn't know that the wizard's been dead. He doesn't know that kind of stuff. So he goes tearing through Earth trying to get to the Rock of Eternity. That's a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could have even found a way to integrate that Black Adam with this story with Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, and they're his right-hand servants or something, trying to get something that he needs in order to be Shazam, the Shazam power level again.
If this was back in the day before everybody got crazy about feminism and stuff, the witches could have been Black Adam's harem, and that would have really worked with his character really well. But they would never do something like that anymore.
Or they could have even been, like one of the things from the Black Adam movie that they ended up having is that there were these legends of the champion from back in the day. And so you could have had like this hereditary priestesshood, like the sisterhood that's like the Bene Gesserit, right? Like in from Dune, that are like waiting to bring Adam back, like that they for whatever reason that it's priestesses. Um, so imagine World War Hulk, but The Rock.
It'd probably be better than World War Hulk. I hated that.
That, these movies, it's like how, when I think of a movie getting made, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it's like, a movie would get made because somebody really cares about it. And, unless we're talking about like a cheap, B movie that's made for cash, I'm saying, the big movies tended to be somebody really wanted to tell a story. They had a story to tell. And so movies tended to really work because they already had a plot when they got started filming for the most part, and it seems like now they put the movie on the schedule and it's got to be out by this date. What's it about? They'll come up with that after they've done everything else. And this movie never got a plot that really works. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It kills him off. It brings him back, by having Wonder Woman come, and she's got the power to bring him back, I guess, for some reason. And it's just, it does not work.
Well, and that was the thing with Black Adam and Fury of the Gods. In both of them, you have this thing where like you have a frame and a concept, and you have an ending that they have figured out.
Yeah.
And everything in the middle kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Nanji is right. They film movies without scripts these days. And they not even just film movies. Like, that's how Frozen was made. That's why Frozen's a disjointed mess from a plot perspective.
Yeah.
It's because, like, it doesn't have the same beginning setup. It didn't have the same middle. It didn't have the same end.
Yeah.
They drastically changed things based upon how their test audience scores were.
Yeah.
And,
well, Frozen specifically was before the test audience. It was internally they realized they just didn't want Elsa to be the villain before they even got that far.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because that's one of the things they've been struggling with for 70 years, trying to make that picture.
Yeah. But sometimes Frozen is when it worked. And also, I should point out, The Emperor's New Groove was originally an ultra serious movie with songs by Sting. And it was a completely different plot. And they had all the artwork designed and everything. And they just couldn't make the movie work. And they completely rewrote it. And I love The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, The Emperor's New Groove.
I do too.
Yeah. And that was one that like they were able to resurrect from but it was also nearly a complete like redraw.
Yeah.
There was so much different stuff. It was basically a scene one reshoot.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole different thing than what I'm talking about with Frozen. Was you have a situation where that the whole thing reads as subversive because the story they had during production, they actually stopped and changed not the whole story, but changed from like one point on, like the whole like the prince that's falling in love with Anna, right? In the original production, like that was supposed to stay there, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a good guy, not this evil, manipulative guy. And so the conflict that Anna has between her sister and her possible boyfriend is supposed to be like a real tension. But they just made him into a dumb villain because people didn't like to feel bad about the fact that Anna was kind of a loser no matter who wins, right? And so you have this,
and that was the second villain change. That's why the Duke of Wesselton's in there. He was originally going to be the villain change, but then they just realized he wasn't a strong enough villain, so they changed the prince to it.
Yep.
Yeah. And and then the prince's character is so, I mean, everybody's mocking. It's like, you want to marry him? You just met him. It's like they're making fun of the romance the romance that she does have. They're making fun of it and saying it's not really a real romance or whatever. It's like, if you really want to build up to that moment where he backstabs her, you got to give him a few more things that kind of establish that that they're on their way to really being married. It set that up. And anyway, I'm not here to critique Frozen. It's just, but that's a movie that's rewritten as it goes. I love Jurassic Park 3, but it is basically stitched together from all the scenes, the great scenes that they dropped from the first 2 books, and they just threw it together with a bare plot. And Joe Johnson threw the script out when he came on board. He hated it, and they started a new one, and they started filming without a finished script. And it's a week, 90-minute movie. It could have been great. I still like it, but it's not. It's good because you're starting a movie and you don't have the script written. Most of the time, that's going to be a disaster, and we're seeing that so often with some of the Marvel movies. Certainly some of these DC movies, and I'll need to let's get blankets to the That's funny. Sorry. Anyway, that's I just wonder all the time. It's like, I would think that especially when you're talking about $200 million, when you're talking $200 million to make a movie, it's like, have a script that you sit down and read it, and it's like, this builds, and this is good, and I was not expecting this. This reads well. If you can have a table read and everybody's like, this is really entertaining, then make the movie. But they keep making movies because they have a schedule, and they have the plans, and they have the Burger King cups all planned already, and they don't really have a script.
Even when they do have a script, I've read some of these. Their scripts aren't very good to begin with. They're not written like traditional scripts. There's almost like no stage directions, right? Like a scene needs to be described in the script form before like the director gets to it. But it'll be like setting, half a line, then straight into dialogue. And won't even like say how the characters are moving across the screen. It won't say like what's happening in the scene itself, or any like prelude of what is going to be happening, so you can get like an idea of everything you're doing. It's their montages often just say the word montage without describing what happens in them.
Well, and sometimes I think that can work really good if you've got a really solid director, right? Like, for example, 12 Monkeys, right? I can't remember, was it Gilliam that directed that? Doesn't matter. The script,
Terry Gilliam, yeah.
Yeah. So the script for the time machine sequence, right, is that Bruce Willis's character is put into the time machine. That's it, right? So everything else, all the storyboarding, all the giant machinery and everything else, that came out of Terry Gilliam's brain, right? That wasn't the screenwriters that did that. But Terry Gilliam, kind of a genius, right? Mm-hmm. So it can work really well if you've got a team who can share that mission and play that together.
Well, I think it comes down to vision, right? So one of the big problems with a lot of this stuff too, and why the script is really important to describe everything, is because you need to get your producers on the same page as you, right? And if they let the director just have free reign, that's fine. But a lot of times producers get in the way of everything that's going to happen. And if you can't get everybody on the same page, you just end up with a mess.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's true in any collaborative art, right? So like, I know people that I've worked with who I do full scripts where I script everything on a page, right? Because they don't necessarily have the vision. But I have some people I work with who just, once they know the characters, they feed the vision. And so all I have is, I've worked with Mrs. H on some of the Forces stuff we worked on. Like I say, here are the things that have to happen on the page, and here's what everybody says, and I'll write the dialogue for the page. And she'll break that down, beautiful layouts. Because she gets the characters and she gets the action, and we have a synergy with it. But I've worked with some people who don't have the confidence or the mental eye and everything, and so I'll choreograph the entire script for them because that's what they need, you know. And so I think that some of that comes down to teamwork, like knowing, and the bigger the team, then the more important it is to have all that stuff figured out. So.
You made me curious. I looked up who the director is of Shazam. I didn't know, and it's David Sandberg, who got started doing a YouTube short or a short film that got famous on YouTube. It may have been made, professionally, but it's called Lights Out. The story where the woman is going down the hallway and she turns the lights off and there's a figure at the end and she flicks the lights back on and there's nobody there. And anyway, it's a great short. If you go look out Lights Out, they turned it into a full-length movie that may not have been very good, but he went on to do Annabelle, and he does all these horror movies, and then he does Shazam. So it's like horror movie.
I know what you're talking about.
And then it's interesting because the guy who did Aquaman, it's all horror movies and Aquaman. Yeah. It's like, I don't know why they're giving all these movies. It's like, yeah, you could do a superhero movie, sure. And it's like he did a good job. It's just, at least on Shazam, the first one, Fury of the Gods is a mess, but I wouldn't say the production wise it's bad.
And that thing is like the script is what it kills.
Yeah.
The script and the story is what kills the Fury of the Gods. The cinematography is beautiful.
Yeah. The magic scenes where the buildings are all moving about, it's like mind-boggling. Yep. It looks really cool. Yeah. The Skittles ad not so much, but actually this goes to a bigger point that I've been making for ages, which is that the directors are great. I have no problem with most actors. The special effects are top notch. At least when you give the special effects company time, and a lot of these are pressed for time. So if you ever have shabby CGI, it's because they one of the 20 production companies they gave money to and said, here, have this done in time. They rushed it, but there's the capacity to make mind-boggling special effects, and it's like, where do all these movies fail? It's in the writing. The writing is, it's like they put money into everything, and writing they don't care about. And if you can tell as a writer, this bugs me. But it's like, how hard is it to come up with a good story? I can come up with it. When I heard about Supergirl, this summer, that she goes to other planets and red suns so she can get drunk because she's sad about her planet blowing up, and then there's somebody poisons Crypto and she has to save him by the end. I'm like, this doesn't sound like anything I want to see, instead of some forgettable villain. And it's like, okay, you've set it up. She's a drunk because she's sad about her home planet. Okay, so she's on a red sun planet getting drunk. She passes out. The faceless hunter grabs her, drags her away. She wakes up in a cell on War World, being forced to fight against other people, and she's wearing the Slave Leia bikini, but like a gladiator version of it. So she has to fight other people. It's like a plethora of characters from DC Comics, from recognizable aliens to she has to fight like Ultra the Multi-Alien, or you could drag in all sorts of things. I would have Scott Free be in one of the other cells, and whenever a guard walks away, he just turns out walking past because he can get out whenever he wants to. And, you could have Mongol, a big CGI Mongol is right up there with Thanos, because he's designed by the same guy. And you could have, as the leader of the games, you could have my favorite idea, Kanjar Ro, played by Steve Buscemi. I've been pushing for that. He's like the perfect casting for that as a gladiator announcer, and the guy who like leads the, goes in and makes sure that they're willing to battle and all that. It's perfect idea for him, but he's not the heavy, Mongols is the heavy, and then you have to lead a revolution, etc. Get all the characters to break out. It's how would that not make $1 billion? It's like it should, because I would want to see that 5 times probably in the theaters. And that's just me grabbing from a few things like Superman ending up on Warworld and he's in, a battle gear and all that. And I'm, grabbing it from a few stories here and there, but it's like, if I pitched that would be, why not? But instead they go with adapting a Tom King story, which seemed to sell rather well. And it's like, yeah, rather well in an era where nobody's reading comic books. So if, it sold a little bit at levels that would get you canceled 20 years ago, and it's not a movie. It's not a visual. That doesn't sound like anything I want to see. It doesn't sound like a good story. It's I'm just saying at the writing level, at the pitch level, this should be rejected before you've spent $100 million on these things. There's everything fails at the writing level. G.I. Joe was great, except for the way it was written, except for, some of the casting, but it's still, and for the most part, it's the writing of all this stuff that is bad.
And it wouldn't matter how good the script is, though, and it's because of the way production works now. Even if they did have a spectacular script, they would probably still just tear it apart in the editing afterwards.
True. That's possible. Because supposedly that's how Christopher Nolan works, is he makes a 5-hour long movie and then edits it down.
And that's how all the MCU movies were made.
Yeah.
Well, after phase 1. Like phase 2 is when that started, and it was working okay at first, but then they got less talented people to do it over and then it just spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
And in fairness, that is all the movies have kind of always been made that way.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. I mean, that's Star Wars. The original Star Wars. That was all. It wasn't the finished product until Mrs. Lucas kicked her husband out of the editing bay because he was freaking out and wouldn't finish the damn thing.
Right.
So he needed to take the trash out, and so she kicked him outside so she could finish the movie for him.
Mm-hmm. And she took out all the boring parts and moved things around and came up with a ticking clock that didn't exist. And I didn't even know that. And when I found out, I'm like, oh, yeah, all this stuff about them approaching the planet, it's like it's graphics shown on screen and they're talking off screen. It's like they don't need to go shoot this. The Death Star is approaching. It's like nobody is there. It's just the table with the lights on
all ADR.
Yeah. It's like, that was all done afterward. And it's when there's and you can see, yes, I understand that editors can make a mess of things, but they don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's what I was saying is only to speak to the idea that Nolan, films 5 hours and keeps 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't think that's the problem. I think that part of the problem that Nolan has, I think this is even true in his Batman films, right? Where they should be 20 minutes shorter, right? There is just stuff that could be cut. But the modern editor, the modern filmmaker, it seems like they're not willing to do what every writer should be taught to do, and to kill their darlings, right? To actually do what serves the story, not what serves our feels about the story.
Yeah.
Right. I'm working with an artist on a project right now, and I went through the script, and it's longer than I wanted it to be. But I couldn't figure out. I looked and looked and looked and looked to try to find what I could shave out of it. It's longer than it ought to be. And the artist came back to me and said, "I think I found where the cutting is." She's laying the stuff out and actually thumbnailing the project. And she's like, "I think I found where the cutting is. You said you wanted me to look at it. The script, I couldn't see where to cut it, but now that I'm drawing it, I'm thumbnailing it, I think I know where to cut it." I said, "I trust you." so
did she kill one of your babies?
Oh, she's killing all of them. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm actually really looking forward to getting the thumbnails so I can start redoing the dialogue.
Well,
there's a bunch of dialogue I'm going to have to cut, and that's fine because
I think there's a difference here, though, right? And why I'm less critical on the way Nolan does it, and when I go back to how a lot of these other superheroes, like the MCU stuff after Phase like 1, um, even how some of the DC stuff is done. It's not like they're shooting a longer movie and they're cutting it back. It's they're shooting alternative possible movies and then deciding on which one they want when they get to the end. So it's not like there's a strong vision that even that they're trying to rearrange and come up with the best possible version of that vision. It's that it's like we need to leave our options open.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That's the ticket. That's the ticket. And that's one that goes back to what you were saying, Hutch, right?
Mhm.
Like back in the day, people made when a movie got made, a movie such a big undertaking, even a really bad movie like Red Zone Cuba, right?
Yeah.
Like that movie got made because somebody believed in skydivers, right? Speaking
Yeah.
about movies that could be 30 minutes shorter, but somebody believed in some of those pictures, and so that got made because somebody believed in them. You know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, there wasn't a friggin' focus group that said we need to have a movie like this.
Yeah.
No, somebody believed in the movie and they made the movie, and it's the movie, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and so that's different from, oh, you know, now we've got to milk the MCU cow. Let's go out to the barn and then milk the MCU cow. And which ending is gonna froth the fans up better, rather
Mhm.
than, you know, what is the end of the story that we're telling, because we're telling a story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I've said about all I want to say
Yeah,
about the three.
I think that's a
I
really good place to wrap up.
I
Honestly.
really wish that they had made the Mr. Mind movie. I wanted to see that. When I first saw the worm in the jar at the beginning of Shazam, I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's Mr. Mind. And then later they come back and the jar is broken open. I'm like, good, they're setting up something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and he shows up at the end, voiced by the director, by the way. That's the director of the movie
Oh,
voicing the Mr. Mind.
that's
And
awesome.
but even at the end, it's like, why did they even do the after credits scene on the second movie when they know there's not going to be another one? They had to know, as they're putting this out, there's not
Maybe
going to
it's
be
just
another
there
one.
to make us all sad. That's not what they did for the second movie.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it was a plea deal, right? Because like even though the production companies made up their mind, if the movie does well enough, maybe we can change their mind to let us just continue on our own. Didn't
Yeah.
happen, but they often do plea deals like this.
No, that's actually I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right on the money that it was sort of a shot in the dark. Maybe we can make this work if we just do it this way. So here we go. Najee says, because that's what you do when you make a superhero movie. That's just the way it is now. Could be.
Yeah, we're gonna make a definitive end to a long storyline. That's like this is the end of this collective process, and we're gonna put a teaser at the end for something that's not gonna happen.
That's hilarious.
See, I love the Colin is talking about how he likes the first Wonder Woman and didn't really care for Aquaman. I loved Aquaman. I thought they even ironed out one of the problems I've always had, which is Orm being the ocean master. It's like, but he's sometimes just a surface guy who was the son of his dad's second wife.
Yep.
And then, that was the original version. And then they came up with maybe he's from Atlantis, maybe, but it's like, but if she's exiled, is he the older brother? Is he the younger brother? And they have the queen get captured and taken back, and she gets pregnant with the guy who becomes Ocean Master, or Marius. It's like, that's a great story because there's an older brother who is the oldest and he should be king, but the other one's a pure Atlantean, he should be king. It's like that's a good story. They ironed out some stuff that made Aquaman work better, and it works as a story from beginning to end. You can craft out the story points and the plot points, and it's like it works like a story, and you can see the whole thing. I never even got to the point that to tell you about the Odyssey you cannot see, because they've decided that everything must be lit by candles, because it's olden days. Like, kings didn't have enough candles to light up a room in their castle. It's
They
so
had
many
torches and lanterns, you know.
so many you cannot make out the fight scene in this movie because it's so dark. It's like, I don't care if you have to go back and pretend. It's like there's light from somewhere. Okay, so you're in a cave, there's light from somewhere so that you can see. I don't know why modern directors are like, well, there wouldn't be any lights, so we'll film this in the dark. And it's like, I would rather see what's going on, and just, I know it would be dark, but if you show a cave and there's light from somewhere, I don't care, as long as I can see the movie. I would rather see the movie. And this movie is processed so dark, you cannot make out action at some points, and the movie is very loud. You missed that part.
Those are my two big complaints about modern cinema is audio and lighting, and they're just trash in everything because they're trying to be like ultra realistic. So like whispers are too quiet to hear, explosions are too loud for you to understand anything else that's going on. It's actually one of the reasons I really liked Spider-Noir. I don't know, did you guys ever watch it or talk about it? I loved it. I thought it was great. Spider-Noir, right? With Nick Cage. Because the whole thing was shot primarily in black and white, and then they recolored it afterwards. So that means all the lighting and film grading is for black and white. And even in a dark scene, they'll like light up his eyes or they'll have contours. You can tell what's going on at all times because it's shot for black and white first. It's great. And it's also trying to be cinema, it's trying to be vaudeville. And it's probably the only superhero related thing I've liked in the last few years.
Well, and that seems like such a great fit for Nick Cage.
It is.
Perfect blend of stuff. Did you see the unbearable weight of incredible talent?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only movie I have liked Pedro Pascal in. Right? Like, he should have retired at that point and said, I'm never going to top it, because he never is. And everything he'll do will be less than that movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I watch anything
so
with Cage.
Much. So, back to Colin. I disagree about Aquaman, but I don't want to keep talking about Aquaman. So I absolutely love Aquaman. I will say, my last thoughts on Aquaman is I do agree James Wan's reinterpretation of the Aquaman origin story is the definitive Aquaman origin story. The fact that his parents get it there happily ever after the years of separation, that's amazing. It's great. It is great. I absolutely love that. And that's it. That's where I'm leaving the show. Next week, the gang will be back. I don't remember if we've discussed what we're going to talk about. I don't think we have. So it'll be a comic probably. Oh, hey, while I'm here though, I'll show you off. I mentioned my Spirit button earlier, but I also stopped into a little shop and I found this hardback Captain America book for $8.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Roger Stern Forever Allies. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Can before you go, can I just show people my big win of the week?
Yes.
My comic book win of the week. As you might know, I love Elongated Man, and I made a deal with the DC Alive guy. I would give him my copies of the Krypton Blu-rays if he would do a Elongated Man series, and he had it done by the next afternoon, which I was expecting him to need a lot more time. So let me just bring this tab out so I can move it. So this is the first one he did. It's kind of based on the Who's Who, which is why he has that there. Here's the artwork of the original, because he went to look up what the original costume looked like. And there he's got the original costume. And then this is without the mask. And then this, I was wondering what this is from. And it turns out there is some artwork exactly like this. He copied some artwork, and it says El Elastico Hombre or something like that. It's got to be a miscolored foreign reprint that this is from, that there's a yellow costume. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't even recognize this pose from anything. So I don't know if it's a reprint of a DC book or what. It's very weird. This is the standard costume. It actually showed stretching. I think that's one of the first times he's been able to do that with any of these characters. Is actually show their powers being used, instead of just standing and posing. So that looks really good. And this is the costume, kind of like the Jail Europe version. Not quite the right version. This is like the modern one that they did orange and yellow, and I hated that costume. But it's not a body size D in the new one, so I don't know that this isn't quite the costume that's from what's it called, the Secret Six.
Secret
Yeah.
Six.
Yeah, he was in Secret Six. I don't know what this is from, this version. This is obviously it's the I actually have like this costume that's from the Who's Who as well.
Yeah, and that's also, I have an old trading card with this pose on it, like this exact pose. Oh, we lost you, Hutch. You're muted.
Is it working?
There he goes.
This thing gets separated sometimes. Sorry about that. This is the classic Ralph and Sue traveling America in a sports car. I told him about that, and that's what he gave me. So I think this looks awesome. It's the only thing with Sue in it, but it's just perfect. So I'm gonna download this one, keep it. This is also based on the Who's Who, although the AI kind of has a complete it's like, what is this this is not connected to anything. But you can kind of make it work. It's like, here's his arm going over here and this arm's here. What is this?
He just has a Mobius strip that's part of him now, just floating there.
Yeah, right.
And then he just ended with the costume from the Flash TV show. So I don't know. I think that's just a photo. I think it was just one of his reference photos. So okay, that just had to show you my big celebration for the week. I was like, yay! Finally, because he barely had Elongated Man in anything, even when he'd do a Justice League shot. So now he's got some ready to put in with the others. That's good. So that's it. I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So
Yep. I'll stop.
Okay, well,
there.
That's the show for this week, everybody. And so this is another week. I forgot what I was going to say. My brain just spaced off. So until next week, this is Reese for all of us up here on Monitor Duty signing off. Get out there and read some comics. Bye.
Bye.